one of the things that you mentioned earlier was that we need to be, we still want to be the people that our customer calls first and to continue to provide a great service. And I want to go a little bit into, what that looks like and what does that mean? We've talked about our vision to be the trucking standard of excellence and to continue to build trust. But I think what's important here is that we realize that we're not changing who we are. We're kind of doubling down on our roots, on what we do is providing these services. So talk a little bit about that. What does it look like to be the trucking standard of excellence and continue to provide that great service to our customer?
Well, that's a good question, because we should be focusing on that all the time. So I think it comes to real basic stuff. Obviously, the obvious stuff is when a customer gives us a call or however they communicate with us, that we can accept a load, make the pickup, make the delivery, communicate correctly. Those are kind of the basic things. But when it really comes down to the core of it is they have to trust you. They have to trust that when they send over a load, and they may call, but anymore it's usually on an email or whatever. But when they send over a load, that they have to trust that we understand what is needed, that we have the right equipment in place to have the trailer there, it's clean, it's fueled, it's ready, they can load it. And then we have the right people, whether it comes from the operations side. Obviously, you have to have a great driver in the truck to be able to provide that delivery consistently the right way. And all the people that help support all those moves, whether it's making sure that the trucks are maintained correctly or that the paperwork is right and so forth. But then once we have that load on our trailer, we're making the deliveries, we're there on time. And a lot of people can do that. It's doing that every day correctly, making sure we communicate correctly when we're en route. And probably as important as any of this is when we have issues, and everybody has issues. When we have issues, that we deal with them correctly. And there's no fancy way of dealing with it. It's making sure that if we're having a problem, that we tell our customer what our problem is and make sure they're aware of it and do everything that we can to deal with that correctly. If it's reschedule or repower or whatever it is that we have to do, those are dealing with those problems correctly. Our customers like to be able to call us, tell us what's going on, and forget about it, and let us take care of the business. So that if we do that properly, their customers are happy with them. So,
when all this stuff was happening a couple of weeks ago, you and I kind of had a conversation, and I was kind of like the hyper one, like the nervous one. And when we started kind of going through some of the answers that you just gave, like some of those remarks, I found, I don't know if comfort's the right word, but it was a good reminder of that. We're not changing who we are or what we do. We're doubling down on what we normally do. We're doing that and continuing to do that at a high level. We're not changing, what we're hauling or who we're hauling for, those kind of things. We're making small changes internally, but we're as far as our picture to who we are to our customers, we're doubling down on those things and just continuing to do that. So I think that's a good reminder.
Yeah, and one thing that I have noticed is that through all of this coronavirus stuff, all the things that are going on and the changes and the pressures and the frustrations and everything that we have to deal with this, that what I see is whatever our character is, it comes out in spades. It just comes out all over the place. If people are resilient, resilience shows up. If people have a good sense of humor, that shows up. On the other side, if people get anxious, they get anxious in a really quick level, a really quick way, or in a really big way. So all those things happen. And, my expectation for us is that through us, that our character comes out too, that the people around us can see that, we have the right people here that can make good decisions, and we can live by the values that we talk about and come out stronger than what we are now. So I think it's been a good learning experience. I will say, I do want to remain positive, but one thing that kind of I have to deal with, and I didn't really didn't think about it at first, but when you're confined at home, or I make it from home to an office, but I don't get out of my office a whole lot. I got to be careful with that. But when you're doing that for long periods of time, it works on you. And I think it was probably in the last week or so, I had kind of found that you get a little buggy and you get a little fussy, and I had to deal with that. And I think by me getting to see what I went through there, it might be a good example of what, and maybe just a small piece of it, of what maybe our drivers have to deal with all the time, because they're by themselves the majority of the time. And, we have a true, I think it's a personal, in our makeup, need to have connections with people. And I think by not having many connections right now, it's making me more aware of that than ever. And I think I can see a little bit what our drivers have to deal with, and we got to work on that every day, not just when it's Corona time, but long after that's gone and that becomes a part of our past, and it will pass. And we got to get good at connecting with people, even much better than what we have so far.